Here's a number that should scare you a little. Most people who reach retirement age have less than a year's worth of expenses saved. Not 10 years. Not 5. Less than 1. And it's not because they didn't earn money. It's because nobody ever taught them how retirement actually works. Until it was almost too late. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why most retirement plans fail, and the simple system that actually fixes it, even if you're starting late. Even if you feel behind. Stay till the end. Because the biggest mistake is one almost everyone makes without realizing it. Let's start with why this problem even exists. For most of human history, nobody retired. You worked until you physically couldn't, and your family took care of you. Retirement, as a concept, is barely 100 years old, which means we're all trying to solve a brand new problem using instincts that were never built for it. Nobody's brain is naturally wired to save money today for a version of themselves. That's 30 or 40 years away. That future self doesn't feel real, so the money gets spent on someone who does feel real, the person you are right now. This is the first retirement problem. It's invisible until it's urgent. There's no deadline screaming at you in your 20s or 30s. No red notification. Just a slow, silent gap growing every single month you don't address it. And by the time it becomes visible, usually in your 50s, the easiest option, time is already gone. Here's the second problem, and it's the one that quietly wrecks the most people: underestimating how long retirement actually lasts. If you retire at 65, you're not planning for 5 or 10 years. With modern healthcare, you could easily be planning for 25, even 30 years without a paycheck. That's almost as long as an entire working career. Except this time, nothing is coming in, only going out. Most people size their retirement savings like it's a short vacation. It's not. It's a second full life, and it needs to be funded like one. Third problem: inflation, the silent thief. $1 today will not buy the same thing in 30 years. What feels like a comfortable number now, say, $500,000 saved sounds impressive today. But run it forward 3 decades, and inflation quietly cuts its real value in half, sometimes more. People plan retirement using today's prices and forget they're aiming at a moving target. Fourth problem, and this is the one nobody wants to admit: relying on other people to save you. Whether it's counting on children to take care of you, or counting on a government pension to cover everything, or just assuming something will work out, hope is not a retirement plan. The people who retire comfortably are almost never the ones who got lucky. They're the ones who built a system early and let it run for decades without interruption. So now the real question: what actually fixes this? First fix: start with the real number, not a guess. Most people have never actually calculated what they'll need. A simple starting rule: take your expected yearly expenses in retirement and multiply by 25. That's roughly the total amount that lets you live off the growth without draining the core savings too fast. It's not perfect, but it turns retirement from a vague fear into an actual target you can aim at. A number you can't see is a number you'll never hit. Second fix: automate before you feel ready. Waiting until you have extra money to start saving for retirement is how most people end up with nothing. There is never extra money. Expenses always rise to meet income. The fix is brutally simple. Money for retirement leaves your account automatically before you ever see it, the same day you get paid. You adjust your life around what's left, not the other way around. This one habit alone separates the people who retire comfortably from the people who don't. Third fix: use time as your biggest asset, not your money. This is where compound growth becomes almost unfair in your favor. Someone who starts investing a modest amount in their 20s will very likely end up with more at retirement than someone who invests double that amount starting in their 40s, simply because of how many years the money had to grow. Time does more heavy lifting than almost any other factor, which means the single most expensive mistake in retirement planning isn't picking the wrong investment. It's waiting. Fourth fix: diversify how your money is protected, not just where it's invested. Relying on one pension, one property, or one source of retirement income is fragile. A resilient retirement plan usually stands on multiple legs. Some invested for long-term growth, some in safer assets that protect what's already been built, and some that generate ongoing income. If one leg wobbles, you're not left with nothing. Fifth fix, and this one's uncomfortable. Plan for a longer life than feels realistic. It costs you almost nothing to plan for 30 years instead of 20. But it can cost you everything if you plan for 20 and live 30. Always round up. Running out of money at 78 is a crisis. Having a little extra at 90 is simply a good problem to have. Here's the biggest mistake almost everyone makes. The one I promised at the start. Treating retirement planning as something you'll get serious about later. Later, when the salary is higher. Later, when the debt is paid off. Later, when life settles down. Life never fully settles down. There's always a reasonable sounding excuse to wait one more year. And that 1 year, repeated across a decade or two, is the actual difference between retiring comfortably and running out of money at 70. The truth about retirement is almost anticlimactic. It's not about finding some secret investment or timing the market perfectly. It's about starting before you feel ready, automating so you don't have to rely on willpower every month, and giving the whole system enough time to actually work. The people who retire well aren't smarter than everyone else. They just stopped waiting for later, a lot earlier than most. If this made you think about your own timeline differently, that's exactly the point of this video. Subscribe for more honest, no fluff breakdowns on money, retirement, and building real financial security twice a week.